everyone. So we wanted to come on here and share about something that happened to us last night when we got home from visiting some family. We got home to our door being unlocked, both the top and bottom locks, which we know for sure were locked when we left because we have video camera footage of us locking and checking the door to make sure. And coming into our house, we noticed some fingerprints on some windows in our living room that looked like somebody was trying to
push up the
windows. Other than that, there were some items that were misplaced and not where we left them, but there was nothing missing. So we don't really know what that's about, but it kind of falls in line with some other weird things that have been happening to us over the last few weeks, ever since we got back from a trip to Virginia Beach, which is another reason why we wanted to record a video, because there's stuff that happened while we were there that we just wanted to put out into the world because it makes us both feel crazy, honestly, that we even experienced it. It sounds a little bit crazy. People are probably going to think we're nuts,
Definitely.
but something happened that night that was very strange. And the first week of July, right before 4th of July, we took a trip down to Virginia Beach. We had been there once before and we loved it because the hotel that we stayed at had a little private beach in the back that you could stay out all night. So we would chill there every night with our cooler, our chairs, and just hang out on the beach. So on our last night, we did that like we did every other night. We brought all of our stuff down to the beach to just chill before we had to leave in the morning. And we both noticed, first off, the sky looked weird. We can share like a picture of it or video. Like it looked like the whole entire sky was covered in some sort of static, or like there was confetti all over the sky, just floating, ashes. It was really weird. So, well, whatever. We took note of it and just sat down and started hanging out. And we like to look up at the sky, look at the stars. So we were watching them and I started noticing this star wiggling all over the place in the sky. It was moving. And I pointed it out to him and he's looking at it, he sees it. So I start recording. And as I'm recording it, you can see it's changing colors and it's zigzagging, wiggling, moving jaggedly everywhere. And all of a sudden, and I'm as far zoomed in as I can be on it at this point, but then all of a sudden it looks like it's just zooming in on its own on my screen. I don't think my phone was actually zooming in. Something was like happening to it that made it look like this big puff ball, and it was like orange. And watching it for a little bit, and then it just disappeared. So we're like, that's weird. What was that? And we keep watching it. We keep noticing quite a few stars that are moving jaggedly across the sky. And there were also planes in the sky too, just to note. So we saw plenty of them. We could tell the difference. Like these were not planes. There were not lights like that on them. Like they were not planes.
And we've even seen a bunch of low-flying helicopters too.
And planes don't move the way these things were moving. So planes are very smooth in their movements. So notice a few more of these things, record some of them, and then we're just sitting there talking and we're saying how it feels really weird. And we're big believers in aliens, so we're like thinking maybe we're seeing some UFOs or some sort of alien activity, which is like interesting, intriguing to us. So we're like kind of excited as we're noticing all of this stuff in the sky, and we're talking, and he's like looking off behind me, and he has this like weird look on his face. And I remember asking him, like, what? Because he's just looking, and he wouldn't tell me in the moment because he thought it would freak me out. But he told me after the fact that he saw something, and you can share about that.
Yeah, so when she's sitting there talking to me, and I to be honest with you, I can't even remember what she was saying because I was so tunnel visioned on what I saw. When she was sitting there, she was sitting to my left, like how she is now, and I'm looking behind her, and I see something which looked like I thought was a kid, and meanwhile this was like in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it was like 11 o'clock at night, so
And
there was no one on the beach
there's
at this point.
yeah, like there's nobody on the beach, and I'm looking behind her and she's talking to me, and I see what looks like a child, real small, but it definitely wasn't a kid, come out of the water, like shooting out of the water, like quick, making no sound, no splashing. And there was like these reeds or bushes behind us, and it looks like the thing, whatever it was, just shot straight into those and completely disappeared. And the thing that's weird about that is any kind of object, person, animal goes into or out of water, you're going to hear splashing. It's going to make some kind of a sound. There's going to be movement, even if you're running on the sand, anything. But there was no kind of movement. But what I saw was definitely not a kid. It wasn't a person. It was something that I can't honestly explain.
Yeah. So that was just weird. And I didn't hear about this until a little later on in the evening. But this is the way the events happen. So after that, looking at the stars some more, see another one moving, and I start recording it, and I'm full zoomed in, and this time it starts puffing up on its own, but it completely became invisible, like just disappeared into the sky. It blended in with the static or whatever that was in the sky. It completely blended into that, so you just could not see it anymore. And my phone screen then went black completely. And I had to stop recording it because no matter what I did, the screen would not turn off of black. So that was weird. And we're like, what the heck is this? And something I forgot to mention was it was a clear night this night, besides the static all in the sky. Like it was a real clear night, no clouds. But after that happened, I look over and there's these just two clouds that kind of appeared out of nowhere. Like we didn't notice them anywhere in the sky before, and they're moving and they're coming quick, and all of a sudden they're kind of directly in front of us, right where the star was that I was just recording, and they formed into one. And we're both like looking at it and we're like, what the heck? Look at this cloud. Do you see this cloud? Because it had been moving so fast and then it just stopped. It kind of froze there. And it's just getting bigger. And I look at him, I'm like, we need to go. And he's just staring at the clouds, and I'm like freaked out because they're getting bigger and they're coming closer, like towards the beach where we were, and they're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I repeat to him, I'm like, we need to go. So we start grabbing our shit. We debated even leaving it there, but we just grabbed it. I grabbed our chairs, he had the cooler, and I start booking it off the beach because it was just the weirdest feeling, like bad vibes. Like it felt like we should not be there. So I grab our chairs, book it off the beach. Like I'm going, and I think he has the cooler and he's right behind me, but notices something else. And
as I'm grabbing the cooler, she's already walking back to the room with the beach chairs. And as I'm grabbing the cooler, I look out into the water again because those clouds were descending and it was freaking me out. And I look, and it looked like what would look like a cigar type thing literally come up out of the water like a submarine almost would. And again, like the thing I saw that came running out of the water, it made no sound, no noise. It like came up above the water for like 5 seconds, and then a big cigar shaped thing, and then just went right back down. And at that point I was like, yes, now screw this, I'm getting out of here. And she's already back, and
I'm already back, and I, like I said, thought he was right behind me, and I turn around and I see him still on the beach, and he has the cooler and he's trying to run down like the little pathway with it, and he's stuck and he can't move the cooler. Meanwhile, like we had been there for a few days, he moved this cooler back and forth on the beach, no problem, so many times. There was nothing on the ground that it was stuck on, and it was also empty. It had like 2 or 3 beers in there. So he could not move this cooler. He's trying to take it. He has both hands on it, and his feet are digging in the ground, and he's like yanking it, trying to go. And he could not move it. And then all of a sudden it was just like it let go, and he started running. And we just booked it to our room and locked ourselves in and just were staring at each other like, what the fuck just happened? and just kept asking each other about what we saw to like validate each other, like this is just what happened, right? Like you saw that, like this, and like we both saw it. And
it's a good thing we both did see it, because one of us would have probably thought one of us was crazy.
yeah, it sounds ridiculous, it
does.
sounds crazy. And he even made a joke like, are we on drugs? Like, did we take something tonight? I'm like, no. And at that point, like, we got to the beach and had a drink, but we didn't even finish that one drink.
Yeah, we had one. We didn't even finish.
We didn't even finish it because all of this stuff was just crazy happening. Like, so we were not under the influence of anything. It was weird. Once we got to our hotel room, we were planning to leave the next morning, but we were questioning, like, should we leave tonight? Like, we had a really bad feeling. And we made the decision to leave. And we started packing our car. I locked it. I bring my keys inside. And I start going and gathering stuff. He's eating chips, just like standing there. And all of a sudden, I hear my car beep and lock. My keys are down on a table. There was nobody touched it. There was nobody in the parking lot that was doing anything with their car at the time. So it was just very weird. And then another weird thing that happened was, like, his phone, he wasn't using his phone at all. It was me recording everything. He had almost a full battery, and he went to grab his phone to, like, do something, and it was just off. And that was just weird. Could it be, I don't know. We don't know.
Can't explain it.
We don't know if anything, like, it just happened or if it has to do with something that we saw. We have no idea, but we left that night scared shitless, pretty much, because we had no idea what the heck we saw. And there's, like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of weird things that have happened ever since then, starting from the ride home from Virginia that night. And then there's been things that have been happening ever since, which we plan to share more about, but in another video, because this one's probably long. So,
and the ride home was just as weird as that same night. So we'll definitely be sharing more information about that too.
So thanks for listening to the craziness. If you have questions, feel free to ask, and we're gonna be sharing more just because we want to see if anybody else has any thoughts or feelings on what they think we're dealing with. So thanks.